Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive. This one's really powerful.
Yeah, this one's going to stay with you.
We're breaking down Jay Shetty's On Purpose episode with Selena Gomez.
And her mom, Mandy Peefy.
Together, it's all about mental health.
Having both of them there, that's what makes it so special.
Yeah, you get Selena's journey, but also the family's perspective, too.
You know, how families deal with this stuff.
And they're so honest, like brutally honest. It's amazing. What really hit me was how relatable it all is.
You'd think, oh, Selena Gomez, superstar.
Right. But she talks about attempting suicide at just 7 years old.
Wow, 7.
And later on, Mandy's advice to her during a really tough time, it was just, you'll figure it out, just keep going.
Simple.
Powerful, right?
Yeah.
It's like that feeling of not being enough. It's so universal.
It really is. And that advice, just keep going. It's good parenting, actually.
Oh, how so?
It's about empowering your kid,
Yeah.
right? Finding their own solution.
That's still being there.
Exactly. That safety net's still there.
Building resilience, not just fixing everything for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack Selena's journey a bit. She's diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but what I found interesting was her whole approach to it.
Yeah, how she talks about it.
She wants to make it like her friend, not her enemy.
Reframing it completely. That's powerful.
It is, instead of being scared or ashamed of it.
Which a lot of people are. Understandable.
It's just like, I'm going to understand this thing.
Work with it.
Yeah, she talks about therapy, medication.
Tools, not cures.
Exactly. Tools to help her manage, maybe even use it to her advantage.
It's almost like finding the strength in it.
And she's very open about being in 4 different treatment centers.
Wow, 4?
Yeah. It shows you this isn't a quick fix, mental health.
It's a little quick fix for this.
It's a lifelong journey, learning and growing.
Absolutely. And she's come to accept that. You can hear it in her voice. There will be bad days, but she says, I'd rather have my heart broken than feel nothing at all.
That line is so powerful.
It is. Because she'd rather feel everything, the whole spectrum of emotions, even the painful ones, than shut down completely.
It reminds me of how open she is in that documentary.
Selena Gomez. My mind and me.
Right. You see the messy stuff, the real stuff.
And that takes guts.
Especially when you're dealing with mental health with the whole world watching.
Imagine that pressure. Dealing with this personally is hard enough.
Let alone publicly. And yet she combats all the negativity with love and kindness.
Inspiring.
She's taking back control of her story.
Not letting the media or anyone else define her.
It's such a good example for all of us, whether we're famous or not.
Yeah. You have the power to choose how you respond to challenges. And sometimes compassion and self-love, those are the most powerful responses.
Now, let's hear what Mandy has to say. She admits she hasn't even watched the documentary.
Hasn't seen it.
Can't. It's too emotional for her, reliving Selena's pain through the film.
Oh, wow. That's heavy. You can really feel that mother-daughter connection.
It's deep. And imagine becoming a mother at 16.
So young.
Mandy talks about balancing her own growth with raising a kid, dealing with her own stuff, too.
That's got to be tough.
But she's so strong.
Resilient.
And that bond with Selena, it's beautiful. She remembers a time when she just told her, you'll figure it out. Keep going.
During a rough patch.
Yeah, sometimes those simple words
Mean the most.
Exactly. It's not about having all the answers. It's about that unwavering support.
Just believing in them.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting for me. Mandy realizes she was parenting Selena the way she wanted to be parented, not necessarily what Selena needed.
Ooh, that's a big realization.
And it changed their relationship.
I bet.
It makes you think we all bring our own baggage to our relationships, right? Our own experiences, expectations.
And sometimes the most loving thing
Is to recognize that.
and adapt.
Yeah, parenting's not one size fits all.
It's so individual.
It makes you think about how families talk to each other, how important it is to be open to changing those dynamics.
As everyone grows, changes.
Right, it's a constant process of learning, adapting to each other's needs.
And those needs change over time.
And this commitment to growth, you see it in their work with Wondermind.
Tell me about Wondermind.
It's a platform they co-founded to create a better space for mental health.
So they're not just talking about it.
No, they're taking action, building resources, community.
Putting their experiences to good use.
And they're so passionate about showing mental health authentically.
Not the way you usually see it.
Right, not the scary, stigmatized version.
Yeah, that does more harm than good.
They believe that being honest, open about mental health, about personal growth.
Helps others feel less alone.
Like they're saying, it's okay to not be okay. We're all in this together.
Powerful message. Takes the shame away,
Encourages people to seek help.
which is so important.
Like talking about mental health should be as normal as talking about physical health.
Exactly. No difference.
Now there's this final 5 segment in the podcast.
Okay, like rapid fire questions.
Yeah, they touch on some really interesting points. Want to go through the key takeaways?
Let's do it.
Okay, best advice I've ever received.
Good one.
Selena says, make mental health a practice.
Part of your daily life.
And Mandy focuses on taking your time.
Not rushing the healing.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well said. Okay, what about worst advice? Always interesting to hear.
Both of them have been told it's all in their head.
Ugh, classic.
Or to just snap out of it.
Like it's not real.
Minimizing mental health struggles.
So damaging. Makes you feel like it's your fault.
Exactly. Makes it even harder to ask for help. Okay, purpose. What drives them?
They both want to share their stories.
Give back.
Be there for others.
Using their platform to make a difference. Inspiring. What about things they used to value but don't anymore?
That's a thinker.
They both said people's opinions.
Wow. In unison.
Shows how much prioritizing their own well-being has freed them.
No more needing validation from outside.
Exactly, and knowing your worth. Okay, last one. If they could make one law everyone had to follow, what would it be?
Intriguing. Let's hear it.
Forgiveness.
Makes sense.
Treating others how you want to be treated.
Compassion in all interactions.
It's a beautiful sentiment, and it actually leads perfectly into the next part of our deep dive. We're going to unpack one of the heaviest moments of the whole conversation, Selena's story about her first suicide attempt at 7 years old.
Oh man, that's tough to hear. 7 years old.
It's heavy stuff, and makes you realize these mental health challenges, they can start so young.
Way younger than most people think.
It's heartbreaking, a child feeling that much pain, that overwhelmed.
Like suicide's the only way out. It really makes you think about early intervention. Recognizing the signs in kids.
Selena talks about feeling like nothing made sense, like something was wrong with her, even though nothing bad was happening, not really.
It's that internal world, right? Totally different from what we see on the outside. And then you have Mandy's perspective as a parent. That adds another layer. She was working so hard to give Selena a stable, loving home.
Protecting her from hardship.
Like so many parents do.
It shows that pressure, that guilt parents feel.
When their child is struggling, especially with mental health.
You want to shield them from pain.
But Selena says that's when the suicidal thoughts started.
So even a perfect childhood, it can't prevent everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's complex, mental health, no easy answers.
So what's the takeaway here? Open communication in families.
Absolutely. Making it safe for kids to talk about their emotions.
Letting them know it's okay to not be okay.
And asking for help, that's not weakness.
It's strength.
If we can identify these struggles early on, it makes such a difference. Think of it this way. If a kid breaks their arm,
We take them to the doctor.
right away. Mental health, it should be the same. Early intervention gives them the tools, the support they need.
To cope, to build that resilience.
It's not just about professional help either. Parents, teachers, anyone who works with kids.
We can all help just by listening,
Validating their feelings.
creating that support system.
Showing them they're not alone. Their feelings are valid.
And it's okay to ask for help. Now, both Selena and Mandy have talked about this before, needing more authentic representation of mental health.
In the media especially.
They've seen how damaging those sensationalized portrayals can be.
Stigmatizing mental illness.
Right. They think stories should humanize the experience
Show the complexity.
and the possibility of recovery.
They're not just talking about it either.
Wondermind, right.
Exactly. They're creating content, resources that destigmatize mental health.
Make it less scary, more approachable.
It's part of the human experience.
It's not something to be ashamed of.
They want to show people, yes, mental illness is real. Lots of people struggle with it. But with the right support, you can manage it. You can overcome it.
Talking about it should be as normal as talking about physical health.
Exactly. Seeking help, that should be seen as a positive step
And everyone should have access to the resources they need.
to thrive. Now, their relationship, how they navigate all this together, Selena and Mandy, is pretty remarkable.
It is. They show how powerful open communication can be. Being vulnerable.
And willing to learn and grow together.
Remember when Mandy realizes she was parenting Selena the way she wanted to be parented? Not what Selena actually needed.
Big moment of self-awareness.
We all have baggage, experiences that shape how we see the world, how we interact with people.
Sometimes the most loving thing
Is to recognize that.
and adapt.
And it's not a one-time thing.
It's ongoing.
Always learning, always adapting.
Can meet each other's needs as they change.
They're both so willing to be vulnerable, express their feelings.
Work through those challenges together.
It's real, even if it's not always pretty.
It strengthens that bond between them.
There's respect, understanding.
You can see it. And that openness has carried over to Wonder Mind, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Leading by example.
Not just telling others to have these conversations, having them themselves. Now, we've talked about Selena's journey, Mandy's side of things, early intervention, authentic representation.
There's a lot to unpack here.
But there's another piece I want to touch on, forgiveness. Remember, they both said that's the one law they'd make everyone follow.
If they could.
It's not just a nice idea. It's at the core of their whole approach to mental health, to well-being.
We all make mistakes. We have moments of weakness, holding on to anger, resentment.
It hurts us more than anyone else.
Forgiveness isn't about saying bad behavior is okay.
It's about letting go of those negative emotions that keep us stuck.
Choosing compassion.
Over judgment. For ourselves and for others.
And that applies to how we treat ourselves too, right?
Absolutely. We beat ourselves up over past mistakes. Replay them over and over.
Self-forgiveness is just as important.
Recognizing we were doing the best we could with what we knew at the time.
Giving ourselves that same grace we'd give a loved one.
Exactly. And this ties back to mental health being a journey, not a destination.
There will be ups and downs. We won't always get it right.
But it's okay to stumble.
As long as we keep learning, moving forward.
That's the key. And that leads us to another important point. Finding what fuels us, what gives us joy, even when things are tough.
Selena talked about that, finding new sources of fulfillment, even while she's struggling.
It's about those things that give you a sense of purpose, remind you of your strength.
Could be anything, right? Spending time in nature, being creative.
Connecting with loved ones, or just appreciating the little things.
The small joys.
Find what nourishes your soul and make time for it.
Even when life feels overwhelming.
Because those moments, those connections, they can be so powerful.
It's not about ignoring the hard stuff. It's about balance.
You got it. Life's full of both, the light and the shadow.
Embracing both is what makes life meaningful.
Now, as we head into the last part of our deep dive, I want to bring back something Selena said. I'd rather have my heart broken than feel nothing at all.
That's such a powerful statement. Choosing to feel it all, even the heartbreak.
Living fully, authentically.
It takes courage knowing you might get hurt.
You will, but it's worth it.
It makes you think, what are you willing to risk to truly feel alive?
Right.
Selena and Mandy, they've chosen vulnerability. They're sharing their stories, making a difference.
They have, and one of the biggest things they've shown us, it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay to ask for help.
It's actually a sign of strength.
And even in those darkest moments, there's always hope. Healing is possible.
Growth is possible.
Their whole conversation, it's about connection, communication, forgiveness.
It makes you think about your own life, right?
How you approach mental health, how you handle your relationships.
These deep dives, they're more than just stories.
They're about reflection, finding those nuggets of wisdom we can use.
What really stuck with you from this one?
So much. But that early intervention piece, that was huge.
Selena's story at 7 years old.
Yeah, it just highlights how important it is to pay attention to kids' emotions. Make sure they feel safe talking about their struggles.
Couldn't agree more. And for me, I think it was Mandy realizing she was parenting Selena the way she wanted to be parented.
Not what Selena actually needed.
It's a good reminder we all have to be open to learning, adapting in our relationships.
So for our listeners, what are the key takeaways you hope they'll remember?
First, you are not alone. There are so many people who understand what you're going through.
And there's help out there.
It's okay to not be okay. Ask for support. That's strength, not weakness.
And this is a journey. Mental health, it's not a destination.
Take your time. Find support.
Practice forgiveness.
Along the way.
Don't be afraid to have those tough conversations.
Being vulnerable, that's how we connect.
Here's a question for everyone listening. What can you do today to take care of your mental health?
Or to support someone else who's struggling.
Could be small, could be big. Self-care, reaching out, listening.
A little kindness goes a long way.
Take a moment, Think about what you've learned, then take action. Your mental health matters. You deserve to thrive. And if you're looking for more resources, check out Wondermind.
Great platform. Embraces vulnerability, connection, compassion.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it helpful, hopeful,
Until next time, take care of yourselves.
and each other.